Baron Zemo is a title passed down from one generation to the next, and I don't have a lot to say about the first 11, but numbers 12 and 13 are nothing but trouble. Heinrich and Helmut Zemo made a family business out of being a thorn in Captain America's side. But why would members of European nobility want to spend the better part of their lives tangling with one of the Earth's mightiest heroes? Well, let's find out. So I just wanted to start off with a few words, and maybe a disclaimer about the topic this week. Heinrich Zemo first fought with Captain America in World War II. And Heinrich was German, so he was a German scientist and military leader during World War II, which means he was a Nazi. This video will have a lot of art from the comics like all my videos, and because of the World War II roots of the story, some of the images will contain German symbols and individuals from this period that are not pleasant, and honestly can be quite offensive. So I just want to let you know that before we get into it. It's not like the video will be plastered with that stuff, but there is some of it, and I understand if you prefer not to see it, so I totally understand if you want to stop watching now. But if you do choose to watch, just know I'm including those things as part of the comic book historical context, and I'm not cool with that ideology at all. I figure you probably already know that, but I just thought I'd be safe and make it clear. It's probably good that the MCU has steered away from that part of Zemo's story. Here are the facts. Heinrich Zemo, the 12th Baron Zemo, but the original Baron Zemo in comics. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and he first appeared in the Avengers #4 in March 1964. Heinrich was followed by a son, Helmut Zemo, the 13th Baron Zemo, who also spent a little time masquerading as Citizen V. Both Baron Zemos dressed in a similar fashion, fond of sort of a crimson-purple color scheme, with what looks kinda like a ski mask for a cow, and showing off some fur accents. Heinrich Zemo usually sported fur around his collar line, while Helmut Zemo liked the fur on his shoulders. Both father and son have had their faces hideously disfigured, and they don't really have any superpowers per se. They both seem to have longer than expected lives, and they both seem to have a knack for evil science and a nose for trouble. But that's about it. Here is Baron Zemo's story. The Zemo family pledged loyalty and service to the Holy Roman Empire, and in return were granted Castle Zemo, along with the hereditary title of Baron. After 11 generations of service to the Empire, which was now the German Empire by the way, Baron Heinrich Zemo was born in 1900. He lived most of his life at Castle Zemo in Zulnitz, Germany. He received the very best education, excelling in science. As he reached adulthood, he became one of the leading scientific minds in Europe. He served as a soldier during World War I, and his status as both a baron and a scholar grew right around the time of the rise of the Third Reich. You probably see where this is going. Zemo joined the Nazi Party early in its existence. It was during this time that he met and married a woman named Hilda. Together they had a son, Helmut. There will be more about Helmut a little bit later. In 1933, Zemo traveled to the United States to meet Dr. Nikola Tesla. He used his research to help develop Teleforce, his powerful laser weapon. During the early stages of World War II, Zemo quickly became one of the Nazis' top scientists and the Axis agent branded public enemy #1 by the Allies, aside from, you know, the guy in charge probably. In November 1941, Zemo arrived in Tunisia to team up with Baron Wolfgang von Strucker against the US Army. Here, Zemo first crossed paths with the newly minted superhero duo, Captain America and Bucky. Sergeant Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos invaded Zemo's castle to destroy Zemo's death ray in 1942. Fury and company defeated Zemo, but the Baron managed to evade capture and escape to fight another day. This defeat at the hands of the Howling Commandos left Zemo disdained by the Axis and vilified by the Allies, leaving him without a real side in the conflict. This is when Zemo first began wearing a cowl to disguise his identity. Zemo was working on his invention known as Adhesive X when Captain America invaded his laboratories. In the course of destroying the only supply, the adhesive covered Zemo's cowled head, which became permanently stuck on his head. As a result, Zemo was consumed with a violent, insane hatred for Captain America and mankind in general. Zemo built the Medusa effect, a massive weapon capable of decimating the United States Air Force. He also squared off with Citizen V in Poland, trading heaping helpings of some good old knuckle sandwiches. Zemo strangled Citizen V to death, hoping to break the spirit of the V Battalion. Next, Zemo captured, then dissected Jim Hammond, the original Human Torch, in order to understand what made him tick. He then used the android's stolen DNA to create his own army of Inhuman Torches, whom he then sent to attack the invaders. With an assist from the time-displaced Thunderbolts, the Inhuman Torches were defeated, Hammond was rescued, and Zemo's lab was destroyed. In 1945, Zemo was issued orders from the Red Skull to sabotage an experimental drone that was planned to be launched from an island on the English Channel. Captain America and his sidekick Bucky tried to stop this plan, but they were captured by Zemo. Zemo then launched the plane, and when the heroes chased after it, Bucky was apparently killed when a bomb aboard the plane exploded, and Captain America was thrown into the ocean, which led him into a period of being frozen in a tiny iceberg. I think most of us are probably familiar with this stage in Cap's career. Zemo abandoned his family and left Germany in the final days of the war. He hid away in a base he constructed in the South American jungle. Around 20 years later, Zemo built a device to use his death ray against entire cities. At about the same time, Captain America reappeared and joined the Avengers. Not to be outdone by his old nemesis, Zemo created his own team of supervillains, calling them the Masters of Evil. The Masters of Evil failed in their first attempt to destroy the Avengers, which you probably could have guessed on account of the Avengers still being around and all. Then, Zemo captured Rick Jones and used the young man to draw Captain America into a duel. Blinded by the glare from Cap's shield, Zemo fired his death ray wildly, causing a rock slide that resulted in the Baron's death. Heinrich was survived by a son, Helmut, who became the 13th Baron Zemo. Or is that pronounced like Helmut? H-E-L-M-U-T. I don't know, I say Helmut. Learning of his father's death, Helmut, now an engineer and strategist himself, blamed Captain America and adopted the guise of the Phoenix in order to kill him in revenge. Zemo was defeated, however, falling in a vat of adhesive X, horribly disfiguring him. That's taking the phrase like father like son just a little too far in my opinion. He resurfaced years later as Baron Zemo, now working with Arnim Zola. He kidnapped Steve Rogers' childhood friend Arnold Roth in order to lure him into a trap. He forced Cap to fight hordes of mutates before revealing that he knew his secret identity. Zemo later encountered Cynthia Schmidt, who was known as Mother Superior at the time, as well as her father, the Red Skull. Zemo underwent training by Sin and the Red Skull, stepping up his supervillain game a notch or two. Zemo eventually turned against Mother Superior, but he was no match for her psychic powers. Helmut must have gotten lonely, because he recreated his father's supervillain team, the Masters of Evil. Under his direction, the Masters of Evil 2.0 succeeded in taking over Avengers Mansion, handing the superhero team its most serious defeat. Zemo was ultimately confronted by Captain America and was overpowered. Later, Zemo, with the help of Batroc's brigade, tried to resurrect his father using the Bloodstone. He raised his father only to learn that his dad was nothing but disappointed in him. Ouch! That had to hurt. Helmut Zemo later married Baroness Heike Zemo, a woman who once claimed to be a reincarnation of Heinrich Zemo. That's kind of weird. The two lived together in Castle Zemo and organized the Kinder, a group of abducted children who were brainwashed into hating Captain America. Captain America and Diamondback followed a lead on the missing children and defeated Zemo and the Baroness, freeing the children from the evil pair's clutches. After a confrontation with the psychic menace Onslaught, Captain America and the Avengers were believed to be dead. This left Baron Zemo feeling empty and without purpose, until he got the bright idea of leading the Masters of Evil in masquerading as a new team of heroes to replace the Avengers. Zemo himself adopted the alias of Citizen V, the 1940s hero his father strangled to death. Under Zemo's direction, the team, called the Thunderbolts, was accepted as New York's newest heroes far easier than they would have expected, and were soon given access to equipment used by heroes such as the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. Zemo nearly succeeded in taking over the entire world, but the Thunderbolts, wanting to continue as heroes, mutinied, and Zemo barely escaped, despite his use of the reborn Avengers as mind-controlled pawns. He was then confronted by a new Citizen V, claiming to be the true heir to the title, but Zemo being Zemo, he managed to escape. Zemo was decapitated by Scourge, who was a mind-controlled nomad, but surprisingly found a way to survive having his head chopped off. You see, a failsafe device engineered by his robotic associate Techno transferred Zemo's consciousness to a computer at the moment of his death. Techno then transferred Zemo's consciousness into the comatose body of adventurer John Watkins III, who operated as the modern Citizen V with a covert group known as the V Battalion. Now, Helmut actually did get to be Citizen V, so good for him, I guess? During a big fight with aliens known as the Ptah, Gesundheit, the V Battalion tried to teleport Zemo's mind and Citizen V's body out of the area. The combination of energies interfered with Zemo's presence in Citizen V's body, and Zemo's presence was shunted to the mechanical systems of former Thunderbolts member the Fixer. Geez, they're just passing Zemo's mind around like some kind of hot potato. The Thunderbolts then got teleported to Counter-Earth, a duplicate of Earth where Captain America and the Avengers were sent after the Onslaught affair. Zemo and Fixer found Zemo's counterpart on Counter-Earth, the German hero Iron Cross, and placed Zemo's mind inside this guy, sort of making Helmut whole again. Zemo then searched out the Counter-Earth version of his father and killed him for reasons that only seemed to make sense to Zemo. Then, in an unexpected turn for the character, this Counter-Earth Helmut Zemo came to find saving the world as satisfying as conquering it, and he dabbled in the Counter-Earth hero game for a minute. In an effort to divert a world-destroying spaceship, Zemo and the Thunderbolts encountered a space void and emerged back on Earth 616 rather than Counter-Earth. A new version of the Thunderbolts had been assembled by Hawkeye on Earth 616, but the Archer agreed to turn the keys back over to Zemo. Which seems like a tough leap of faith to me. It was only a matter of time before Zemo went back to trying to conquer the world, though now he did so under the guise of trying to save it. Then, Zemo went on a time-traveling adventure to see all his ancestors and fight his father during World War II. He then returned to present day and proceeded to reveal to the world that Bucky Barnes was the Winter Soldier. After that, he went on to refound Hydra along with the Hydra Queen. Nothing good can come of that. Versions of both the father and the son incarnation of Baron Zemo have shown up in several cartoons beginning in 1966 with the Marvel Superhero series and continuing to appear in animated mainstays like The Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, and Avengers Assemble, among others. Daniel Bruhl portrays Helmut Zemo in the MCU film Captain America Civil War, and continues to give us a live-action Zemo in the Disney Plus streaming series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier that is airing presently. So, what do you think the future holds for Zemo? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching the video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Be sure and subscribe so you get more material from comics and related media, as well as my Sunday ramblings about topically relevant movies, television, and books. Be sure and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. And until next time, remember, heroes are super.